In this video, we are going to talk about structure and plot, especially with 10-minute plays. And I am just going to list a bunch of bullet points. And if you have any questions at any point, you can always feel free to email me and we can set up a time to chat further about each of these things. When you have a 10-minute play, it should be just that, 10 minutes. Not 11, not 9, 10 minutes. And each page equals 1 minute. Now, we'll get into this in a little bit, but that cover page and the page that talks about character and setting, time and place, that is not part of the page count. The page count begins when the dialogue begins. If you want to address major issues in these 10-minute plays, then you need to have absolute confidence that you are an amazing storyteller. Your writing must be phenomenal to tackle such controversial issues as religion and race, cultural identity, and so on. So with a 10-minute play, it might not be the platform for which you want to do that. There's a lot of limitations in writing, period. Any of you who've taken screenwriting know the limitations with that. And limitations in a 10-minute play should be a reason to become more creative, not less, right? The tighter the circumstances, right? A lot of us might know this from our experience with COVID-19 and the pandemic. I had to be really creative and resourceful when suddenly my resources became limited when I had to move my acting classes, scene study and screen acting classes to an online platform. It worked for some of the classes. It was a little tough for others. So being creative and being resourceful is necessary with constraints like a 10-minute play. And you only have time for one storyline. You do not want to try to bring in several different storylines. You should only have one setting in a 10-minute play because you don't want to take up the time moving from different places, different locations. It should be one time in place. So there's no scenes, scene 1, scene 2, scene 3. It is one scene, one place, one time. We're not moving, tonight, today, to an hour later, to a year later. One moment in time. You're still focusing on your character's journey in this moment in time. What does that character want? Why can't they get what they want? Start us in the middle of action, right? You're dropping us right in. You don't have time for setting up a lot of exposition, it's that point of attack that's happening right when you start the play. So dropping us into the middle of action. A great opening line is really important for a 10-minute play. It grabs your audience. It brings us right in. Again, no time for exposition or backstory. Let your exposition and backstory, be visual. How you've set up, even though you don't want to have an elaborate set, because a lot of times your 10-minute play will be in a festival of other 10-minute plays, and so it needs to be a really interchangeable set. But even in your set or your setting, what can you use? What can be on the desk or the couch or the coffee table that says something about your character, that says something about the place, that helps us when we hear the dialogue to establish who your character is and what this story is about, or what that backstory is. Use stage directions very sparingly. You don't have time and you don't have a lot of space. Remember, a page a minute for a lot of stage directions. If you use them, stage directions, make sure it helps you show character. That is the benefit of stage directions. Dialogue also should be used sparingly. You want the dialogue to have a purpose, and it should always move the story forward. Give insight with the dialogue into a character's personality or relationship between other characters. That being said, characters really 4 maximum. I would not do anything above that. It becomes overly complicated. Really, Gary Garrison pushes for 3 max. I've taken a 10-minute writing course, and my teacher said 4. So I've written a 10-minute play with 3. I honestly don't think I would go above 3 because I just feel like it, again, you start to wonder what the purpose is for that 4th character. You can show in a 10-minute play someone going on a short journey. That not a journey to somewhere, but emotionally, an emotional journey. They should change in some sort of way, from happy to miserable, from miserable to happy. What's that conflict that created that, and what's the resolution that resolved it? You don't want 2 characters waxing about some subject, waxing being just like chit chat. We don't care about chit chat and normal conversation. We don't have time for that. Move the plot forward. It's conversation. I know this is a hard one to hear. Conversation is not drama, right? Conflict in the dialogue. These characters fighting for what they want. That's drama. That's interesting. That's compelling. And your 10-minute play should be fairly simple to produce. No costume changes, no set changes, no crazy props, just simple props, simple set, simple wardrobe. And you can still experiment in a 10-minute play with some zaniness. Something that can't be sustainable in a longer format. You want to get the sense of the theatrical. You can use a modern day chorus. Again, you can't have a lot of characters, but maybe 2. So you have 1 main character and 2 in a chorus. That could be done in a 10-minute play. Open your imagination to what the theater is able to provide. Be specific as well in your 10-minute play. Emotional recollection and memory of a front yard, the crooked, cracked driveway. In dialogue, being specific is really important, and that's what I mean by the crooked, cracked driveway rather than just the driveway. How does the crooked, cracked say something about the character's living situation, right? Or when they are sharing a memory of their front yard, what does that memory and those descriptions say of their past? That's how being specific can really help in your storytelling. Details, the more specific you are in your writing, the larger the world you create. But those details can be in the dialogue. It could be how the character talks. It could be how the character looks. Draw us in with the help of a few specific words. Okay, going back to being concise, crooked, cracked, driveway. That's being specific. Those are specific choices. Think of every angle as you're writing. Establish your tone and genre immediately. You want to set that up. You don't want people wondering, what is this? Yes, there may be a twist in the end, but don't use genre as the twist. Be clear upfront. What is the tone? What is the mood? What is the genre? So we know what we're getting into. And you can use your mise-en-scène to do that, or use the stage directions to do that. Again, it should be a self-contained story with compelling characters that advance a conflict and pushes the dramatic tension and action towards some sort of resolution and catharsis.